Hello, today I'd like to talk about diversity in gaming and the advantage of having more inclusive game characters. I mean, certainly, I think few people would argue that there's a benefit to having a diverse crowd of game developers. Having different people with different experiences, share them and contribute them to games. I think can only make the medium better. But I think, I don't think I can talk about that very much because everyone I would think would agree it's good and the actual challenge of getting, a diverse group of game developers interested in game development, a diverse group of people interested in game development is a challenging one, I would say. I don't know, maybe some people would disagree with me, but certainly I don't see an immediate path to that, except for maybe making games which have a more diverse audience. And I think a good way to do that is by having diversity in your game making something more inclusive to different groups of people, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, things like that. So, I think, in the end, people are people, right? And so I think probably a good approach to making characters, just make your regular characters and then change their ethnicity and or change their sexual orientation or something like that. In a way that doesn't even affect the game. And some people may feel like that's cheating, but I would be of the opinion that, again, people are all people at the core, regardless of these, characteristics. And so, in The Last of Us, I think they did a really good job. I can't remember the guy's name, but he kept making me think of Benjamin Franklin. So the guy that looked like Benjamin Franklin, is talking about his relationship or whatever, and then you find out later in the game that his relationship was with man. And it doesn't change the game at all, it doesn't change the character, it doesn't change what he does, and he's not, talking about how he wants to look fabulous or anything. He's just a regular person, and it could have been a woman, it was a man, and I thought that was a really sort of good and clever sort of way to be inclusive, because they did make a big deal out of it. They weren't like, hey, we have, this character and, he's obviously gay because of, I don't know how one would do that, but it was just, here's a regular game character, he's well developed and he just happens to be gay. And I think to some extent that's, easier for game developers, because, game development is hard, and I think, everyone recognizes the value of diversity, but I think a lot of people would say, like, oh, it's hard. And in some sense it is, and I'll talk more about that later. And, I agree, it can be hard, but something like this, it was really easy for them to do, and I think it worked really well. And I guess probably it'd be a good time to say that Neverending Nightmares is a story about a white guy and a white girl, I guess, and I don't know. So, certainly I'm not gonna win any diversity awards for that. But I do feel like I am pushing, some small boundary. Certainly I'm trying to talk about mental illness and stuff like that, which I think is important, but also, our main character has asthma, which, I think, is, and maybe this is stupid for saying this, and maybe I'm only saying this because I made the game, but I kind of like that. I have asthma, and, that is a group of people. There's a group of people that have asthma, and, I don't think we've been represented in the gaming player characters. I mean, usually because it's, super Gears of War football player muscles on muscles, which, I'm not criticizing Gears of War. I love Gears of War, but, I mean, those guys were ridiculous. But the, I think, having the asthmatic character, I play that, and I'm like, yes! This is what it's like. I'm, being myself and my terrible asthma. I don't think my asthma is quite as bad as poor Thomas in the game, but, I mean, they didn't really, I don't know exactly. I think I decided the game takes place in, like, 1906, and they didn't really have good asthma medicine, and I think I had a relative die of asthma. I can't remember if it was like my great-great-grandparent or maybe great-great-uncle or great-uncle something. I think it was my great-uncle. I mean, it's sad, and I mean, certainly, excuse me, medical science has come a long way, but, I mean, like, something with ethnicity of a character, right, like, I don't know what's wrong with my voice today, but you could just, change the skin color, and done. You have a more diverse cast of characters. And I mean, I've definitely heard the argument of, why aren't there women soldiers in a lot of games? And, the main problem that developers point out, which is a very important one, is that they basically have to do 2 sets of animations, because women, the shape of a woman is different. I mean, usually, I guess unless you just, make women that look identical to men, but I don't know if that will really, swap out the facial hair for a ponytail or something. I don't know if that would really be a compelling woman. But, I mean, so the build type is different, and if the build type is different, then you have to do different animations, because the joints are in a different place. And so, I mean, basically doing women soldiers would double their workload. And I totally recognize this, but what about, sort of flipping things on the head and making a game with only women soldiers? Because then you don't have the excuse, oh, we have to build out, 2 sets of animations. You just have to build out one, and you're choosing to do it for women, and I think that might be interesting. I mean, if you read Y: The Last Man, I mean, I think you can do some really compelling narrative things with why are there only women soldiers, and why is that happening in your game world, and I mean, I think that's almost even more interesting. It's giving you something unique, something to stand out. I mean, unless you do it ridiculously and just, sexualize your female characters such that, the answer to why are there only women soldiers is really to pander to your male audience. I think that's sort of ruining the whole idea that I'm going for, in terms of diversity and making people feel included. And I mean, certainly this is something that I'd like to think about more for future games. I mean, because while I wouldn't say the character of Thomas is based on me exactly, I am putting a lot of myself into the character, and with the black and white art style, it's tough to do a lot with, ethnicity. I mean, I could claim he's, not white or whatever. I don't think anyone would believe me, but I mean, I think in the context of the game, the ethnicity is not important. And I think that's true of a lot of characters in a lot of games, but I think, because the game development community is not super duper diverse, they just default to, oh, we'll make them white, we'll make them, male. I don't know. I mean, certainly I'm not involved in a lot of big teams, and I worked on cartoony games with pre-existing franchises, so we didn't really get a lot of opportunities to add in, different, to make a statement on those grounds, in terms of diversity. I mean, we could have diverse types of Lombaxes or something in Ratchet and Clank. I don't know, but I mean, it's definitely something we should think about, and I would say that it's probably a smart thing to think about, because if you can include more people, if you can get people excited about the characters in your game, then you'll probably sell more, and so I mean, I think it's silly not to think about diversity. I don't think people are going to be turned off, like, oh, this cast of characters is too diverse, like, I don't know if anyone's really lodged that complaint in a game, so I feel like you're probably safe making diverse cast of characters. I don't know. That's my 2 cents anyway. Thanks for watching.